Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Creator Etiquette. I cannot wait to get into this week's episode all about investing. And I'm not just talking about how you invest your money, I'm really talking about the different ways that you can invest time, energy, and money into your professional career. I'm not talking about how your money is going to perform just in the stock market. I'm talking about when they say put your money where your mouth is, you put your money into developing as a professional in your creative workflow, going on a trip to a new country where there's an incredible conference like Cannes Lions, or something as simple as joining the team at the New York Stock Exchange on the floor to witness the closing bell and listen to them talk about the future of new media and partnerships with people in the creator economy. You always have to invest in yourself in order to actually see a reward and to move forward. So that is what we're diving into today. I can't wait to get into it. A couple of weeks ago, I got invited to the New York Stock Exchange, and you may be wondering, well, Gigi, you're literally not a finance creator. This makes no sense. I know. When I got the email too, I was like, huh? But I have been very carefully following what the team at the New York Stock Exchange has been doing as it relates to partnering with content creators. We've been seeing this over the past couple of years with creators being invited to the White House in both administrations, quite frankly. And both teams have been viewing creators and the role that creators play in distributing information and participating in activities with really historic institutions like the White House, like the New York Stock Exchange on Capitol Hill. All comes down to how can we use creators and social media to amplify, to expand, and to share our message even further so that more people can access it than ever before. That is the philosophy that the team at the New York Stock Exchange talked about in front of, I think, a couple hundred people at the event downtown. Now, a lot of the panels were actually focused on ETFs and how we can be smarter about investing. And I think that that obviously is a really important topic to talk about, because when you are working for yourself, if you don't come from a family that talks about money and you didn't study finance or accounting in college, you probably do not know how to engage with ETFs, and that's totally fine. What the New York Stock Exchange is trying to do is actually democratize access to this information, I believe through their platform called ETF Central, and from there they want creators to talk about it, to make sure that anyone listening really has access to experience and to learn and to know that it's not just insiders that get this information, that get to be able to grow and scale their money because they were privy to more information than other people were. And that is the thesis of working with content creators and how they view it. I reached out to them a couple of months ago, actually, before this event, and I had suggested doing a professional development workshop with them for people in the creator economy. Because again, it's not just about the money, it's about helping close the gap that creators experience when managing their money, when talking about money, when working with brands to learn about how do they, divide up the $20,000 of brand deals that they get in that month and figure out how to invest a portion of it, how to save a portion of it, what to put in an IRA account, etc. And obviously I do want to disclaim none of what I'm talking about here today is financial advice. I'm sure you guys already know that. I just have to disclaim it to all of you. But learning how to do that is step one of this journey, right? But taking it even further to realize that once you understand how your money operates in the business, it makes everything so much easier. Because when you can calculate and plan for income to come in, you don't have to be left waiting with OMFG, I don't have any money this month because you overspent on something else and you didn't budget properly and you didn't save enough for an emergency fund, or you didn't save for taxes and then all of a sudden you had to go to borrow money from somebody in order to pay your taxes. A lot of creators do not take this seriously enough, and that is what we are cooking up. So stay tuned for more announcements on that, because I really do think collaborating on this kind of engagement is going to change the way that creators talk about, learn, and think about money. And I'm not trying to become a financial creator. Again, this is about understanding how to operate the business as a solopreneur, right? Some creators don't have access to an accountant, so they use online banking or online accounting. Some creators don't have access to a CPA or a wealth manager, right? If you don't have access to that, then you may be like, how the heck do I do this? Again, there are so many resources and people are getting their information from creators on the internet. So I think it's just going to be a really cool experience to partner with them, to expand, to grow, to teach people more over the years. So I literally cannot wait for that. But another thing that is really important to me is the investment that you make in yourself. Again, as I mentioned, it's time, it's energy, and it's money. And if you don't invest those things into yourself, I personally don't really think you can grow in any other way other than experience. But in order to get offered those experiences, you often have to do something that helps shift you into a newer version of you that is ready to receive those experiences. And sometimes that requires coaching, that requires personal development, reading, going to workshops, learning from other creators, going so hard. Maybe you're getting an MBA or a Master's of Science in, media or PR or advertising. Honestly, the world is your oyster here. We live in a world where information and technology is making things more accessible than ever before. But I think professional development is going to be the key at actually helping you create a lasting business with 100,000 followers or less, even 10,000 followers. If you're not pouring money or time into yourself to get better, how do you expect to become better? How do you expect to scale? And I really do believe very strongly that if you're not doing this, you will probably just be going through the motions of being a creator. And eventually this whole cycle that I've talked about before, the burnout cycle, starts to happen where you get a bunch of brand deals, you're so excited. Maybe you're newer in the creator world and you haven't gotten as many brand deals. So what happens is you accept the brand deals without reading the payment terms, or maybe you have read the payment terms and there's nothing you can do about it. Some companies do net 30, net 60, net 45, net 90, net 120 even, I've seen, for payments. And when you're waiting that long, you have to plan for it. And just because you're planning for it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. For example, a payment that I've been waiting on is over a week late and there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to wait for it. And that is something I did plan for and I buffered for, but I didn't expect, and I usually never expect, to 100% be paid on time, because most of the time I won't be. And that is a problem that I think nobody in the creator economy has figured out. There are ways to take out money from lenders, I guess, like Lumanu, like I think Carrot might do it. QuickBooks Cash does it. So you can get your money out for like a low fee, a low percentage, like 3%. But if your brand deal is $30,000, 3% of that, you guys can do the math. It can add up, and it all depends on how badly you need the money. And without really diving deep and thinking through this, you end up wasting a lot of time in that whole burnout cycle, chasing payments or getting unmotivated because you're waiting on money that you're really needing financially in order to pay your bills, pay your expenses. So your stress level goes through the roof. When your stress level goes through the roof, you're usually not going to be as creative, you're not going to be as productive, and you're not going to be as happy. And when you're not as happy, you're not going to create more content. When you're not creating that amount of content, what starts to happen is your engagement goes down and everybody's like, where have you been? Where have you been? And it's like, oh, well, I'm literally waiting on all these payments and I'm really, really stressed out. And oh my gosh. And then one of two things will happen. Number one, you'll get a payment, you'll get super happy and your dopamine will spike and you will start to go up, back to the top, start creating more content, and you'll likely start getting a couple more brand deals until you work again and the whole thing repeats itself. And I've just watched so many creators go through this, and at the end of the day, I have been pouring into myself in the past year working with 2 different finance coaches. You guys should definitely go check them out. Beyond the Green Coaching. I absolutely love them, and they definitely changed my perspective and my mindset on how I view money in my business and how I manage it. And again, none of this is financial advice. You can go talk to them about getting some financial coaching. What really helped me gain clarity and move forward in my business and feeling comfortable to invest money into this, and a lot of time, quite frankly. I spend about 2 hours on my budget and my expenses and accounting every single week in both my personal life and my business accounts. I spend time on it because it actually helps me feel free. The more I knew about my money, what I was spending, where I was spending, and then budgeting for it, the more I could account for how much I needed monthly, and the more I could either charge, adjust, take on more work, take on less work, find new clients, expand what I was doing in any single way. And again, learn how to create a first line of defense that I could use all of my money in my first line of defense. God forbid something happened. That is where my credit card bills get paid and everything else goes straight into my investing and savings account. So it's just really awesome. Their philosophy is incredible and literally altered my brain chemistry when it came to running my content business as an actual business, where it was not necessarily where my mood was not necessarily dependent on cash flow. I could focus on actually growing and scaling my business because cash flow was not taking up my mind and I wasn't falling into that burnout cycle I've mentioned before. So if any of that sounds interesting, make sure that you go check them out. I will link them in the show notes as well. So the next part of this episode that I want to talk about are 3 different investments that I think will compound for you as a creator. Now, the first is obviously your skills and knowledge. I do think creators spend a majority on really cool camera equipment. For example, I just invested in this new Shure MV7 Plus. I was going to get the other one, but I just didn't really feel like I needed it and I was going to need more gear. And for what I'm doing in this studio, this mic is perfect. So I did budget for this expense this month, not the more expensive one. And if I wanted that, I would have budgeted for that one. I also at times will budget for new camera gear. For example, the DJI, I have the Elgato prompter. I just got this Shure mic. So you just have to budget on cameras and software. But I really do think that the most overlooked gap here is professional development coaching. For example, executives say that 44% of a company's market value actually comes from the CEO's personal brand strength and reputation. So if you're a creator, that means you are the CEO of your brand, meaning your brand is the company. And this came from a Wave Connect personal branding stat report from 2025. So I'll also link that in the comments if you're interested. But another stat that is from Wave Connect as well is that founders and creators with strong niche authority with personal brands see 3 to 7% higher conversion rates compared to traditional corporate marketing, which is why we are also starting to see a huge shift in employee-generated content and founder-generated content, because you always are going to want people that are talking good about your company, especially if they're not the founders, right? You want real organic stories about what it's like to work at a company so you can prospect it and see, oh, is that a good place to work? Do people have fun? What are the perks? La, 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 la. That's why you're also seeing founders say, hey, I got you. I'm the founder. This is my philosophy. If this sounds like you should work with me, even if you would never be working with the C-suite person. That's really the psychology behind it. And we can do a whole episode going into depth on employee-generated content if that's something you're interested in. So stay tuned. The second investment I think every single person these days needs to do is the personal brand and all of the assets that will appreciate over time. And for me, what that means is creating a book that I get passive income on regardless of where I am in the world, and I will get this forever, which I absolutely think is incredible. And it's what's inspiring me to now write my second book. It's also why I started getting trademarks on my name and my business, and also thinking about what I can do outside of the Gigi Robinson brand, but the Host of Influence brand as a whole, the Zeke and Trixie brand as a whole, the Creator Etiquette brand as a whole, and really how they all speak to each other, and just thinking about them as individual assets that, again, will compound over time. Even if social media is gone tomorrow, I can have physical assets, I can have frameworks and things that I can just replicate and go out and market. Another fun stat for all of you is that only 1% of LinkedIn's monthly users actually post content on LinkedIn, but the users that are posting usually generate over 9 billion impressions weekly, which is crazy because that means 1% of people on the platform are posting, but they're getting an almost 10x return in impressions, which I think is absolutely incredible, and it's unlike any other social platform. Another stat that I thought was really unique was that LinkedIn profiles that list at least 5 relevant skills get discovered and messaged 31 times more than those that don't. So always going in and making sure that your profile is up to date. I like to do a quarterly update, whether that's a new banner with new press articles, whether that's new photos that I want to implement into my content. I'm always making sure that I'm going in and adding new stuff to my page whenever I can, including in the descriptions of my LinkedIn posts themselves, and in all of the job titles that I have. I actually go in and I'll link out other things. So right now you can go in under Creator Etiquette, which is my most recent role, and I will link out the podcast and the newsletter for Host of Influence. I've got the speaking page as well as the brand page under It's Gigi. I have the speaking page, the book, I have all these things listed. So definitely do that. And I think the most important thing is that the distinction between renting and owning your brand as a creator is that I really do think creators, for the most part, are renting attention on platforms they don't own, but strong personal brands extend into the real world. It's when you can go and do a workshop, when you can go attend an event because of your personality, because of who you are. You can be mentioned in the media and press without you even knowing. This happened to me twice this week on MSN and also in Inc. magazine, which is crazy. And from there, that's what gives me opportunities to write books, to speak on stages, to host workshops. And that does have to do with my social following, but it's because I've positioned myself in a way that allows me to receive revenue generating opportunities. And the last thing that I really would love for every single person to take away from this whole thing is your network. And I don't just mean the people that follow you or are connected with you on LinkedIn. I mean, who can you call up when you are in a pinch and say, hey, can I just run something by you? I'm absolutely frazzled right now with this one contract thing. Can you please answer and help me out? And if you don't have 3 to 5 people you could call about that, you need to do better at networking. This really cool report that I thought I could share with all of you was the 2024 Lumia Gallup study, which found that confidence in traditional higher education dropped from 57% in 2015 to 36% in 2024. That means 36% of people that were surveyed do not believe in really higher education actually moving your career forward. And I don't really think there's an alternative as it stands today other than just doing and taking these calculated risks in your career and in your business. But what can give you a really great career is learning. It's connecting. It's having stories about every single work experience in a positive way. Or if it was a less positive thing, what was the lesson you learned out of it? How can you spin it to be positive? How can you grow from it rather than, oh, this person did me wrong, right? People always say layoffs are really, really tough, but it's the best thing that ever happened to me. The same way that entrepreneurs always have a moment that people can reference. They always say, almost every single successful entrepreneur I love and admire has had a rock bottom moment. That's just kind of the fact. And from there, they're able to push themselves to grow because they had to get out of that mindset and that moment in order to actually thrive later on. And that is what a strong network will get you, especially when you don't burn bridges and you just focus on growing and scaling and living and being in like a positive, energetic state where you're always interested in doing better for yourself, for your business, and for the people that you're working with. Always. So we only have a few more minutes left in today's episode. I want to go through a couple of creator calls for you guys that will hopefully help you grow and scale. This week, I don't have a scenario to go through for you, but I really do want to know after listening to this episode, what is one thing you are going to do that you're going to invest in yourself? Is it a coach? Is it a course? Is it a tool, a relationship? And let me know how it actually pays off, because I'm going to build out a whole library. I want to hear from you. You guys can DM me here, Gigi page, Creator Etiquette, Host of Influence page. We check all of them. Make sure you're DMing us your wins and the things that you're investing in yourself, because that will really help us learn how to grow and expand and teach you, again, how to invest in yourself in ways that are not just about the stock market. So if you absolutely love this episode, which I hope you loved listening to, please make sure that you're subscribed to Creator Etiquette. I cannot wait to chat with you guys again soon. And I have so much more planned for this summer. It's going to be such an incredible one. I know this episode's short and sweet, but I'm going to keep it that way on purpose because I want to give you guys bite-sized nuggets to listen to so that you're not just listening to me for hours is just not my style. I'm a compact, short and sweet kind of girl. Oh, and make sure that you subscribe and like and comment to Creator Etiquette. Love you guys so much. I will see you all soon. Bye.